SANDF and police officials have started seizing looted items at an informal settlement in Sebokeng. It's part of a joint operation to recover all the items following a week of violent lootings across the country. Our Linda Mnisi is watching this story for us and joins us now live. In fact, you're watching live visuals, Linda, I understand, of the actual seizures taking place. What are you seeing from your vantage point?
Okay, and what you're seeing in front of you are, of course, some of the seized, looted items, what is believed to be looted items. Police are still inside this shack trying to retrieve more of those goods. What we've been able to see, Ayanda, throughout this operation, they're scattered all over the Buiketlong informal settlement in Sebokeng, trying, of course, and knocking on every door. So it seems the residents here are surprised by this visit. I'm going to take you inside this house where police are still busy with, of course, the seizing of those items still inside. And I'll just ask Kevin to just go through to give you a sense of what it's looking like. Obviously, we won't be showing the faces of the people that live here, but police are indeed trying to recover as much as possible. Next door to where we are, Ayanda, we've been able to see trolleys from retail shops, a number of trolleys from retail shops, and of course other items that police have been seizing. We've also been able to see solar panels, TVs, and many of those items that are believed to be looted. We're yet to establish what police are using as a verification process in order to verify that these are indeed looted items. From these items that are also being seized, what we're seeing here is a pair of sneakers. They look like they've already been worn, but we don't know what exactly the police are using as a form of verification process. So police are indeed scattered all over this informal settlement. It's also believed that the residents here looted a nearby mall and of course a plaza which of course services surrounding areas. I spoke earlier on about those trolleys. Next door, as you can see, police and some community safety members are, of course, retrieving some of those. So we haven't seen any arrests so far, but the operation continues.
I mean, Linda, all throughout your description of what's happening there, you're saying police are seizing items believed to have been looted. They're going to homes believed to have housed people who were part of the looting last week. I mean, this does seem, in some respects as well, a massive infringement on people's rights to privacy and dignity.
Absolutely, Michelle, because when you look at the manner in which it's also being carried out, I mean, what police do is that they knock a couple of times, and if you don't open, they will, of course, force entry and, of course, wake all the people up. We haven't been able to see some of them present even a search warrant, and perhaps we also haven't heard some of the community members asking for a search warrant, and if the police do indeed have a search warrant. So those are some of the concerns that are coming up from these operations in terms of how they are being conducted. Of course, we'll get a sense from the police later on in terms of some of the methods that are being used to try and seize all these looted items. I mean, if you look at some of the items that have been seized, the food items, mealie meal, for example, a number of canned food, which are basic necessities. So hence I'm stressing the need to ask about the verification process that police are using to identify whether or not these are looted items.
And the concerns insofar as the optics are concerned, Linda, don't end there. The other worry, I'm sure, for many people watching is the targeting of specifically poor areas, poor households, where they know the pushback is unlikely to be fierce enough, at least insofar as raising questions that you've outlined.
Absolutely, Ayanda, and there's been very little information shared in terms of where the operations will go and how the law enforcement officials will be going about it. So in terms of the targeted areas, we don't know really at this point if they are going to move to other areas, because we do know, I mean, in the visuals that we've seen last week, it was not only, poor people that were out in their numbers looting in the shops. We've seen, even luxury vehicles, people who drive luxury vehicles going out in their numbers, also looting. And we haven't seen much of the seizing going on in areas or in urban areas or developed areas. And of course, one would also take into account and assume that perhaps it's also because of, how those people may know their rights and may know the law in terms of how the police are expected or supposed to conduct these operations, and some sort of verification. I'm sorry, I keep stressing the verification process that comes with conducting such an operation, because, I mean, if you look at, the items that are being seized, I mean, we've seen one gentleman coming out with a sack of meal and, it's being seized as well. So what happens then after this process is one of the questions that we're asking. What happens when they get to, of course, the police station or the evidence centers that were told they are being kept? How are they being verified? And if it is found that those particular items were not looted, how are they going to identify the owners of those items? And how are they going to take them back?
Yeah. How do they return it back to the store, for example, where it might have been looted from? Linda Mnisi, thanks very much for that update on what is an incredibly worrying story this morning. I mean, walking into a home without a search warrant, ostensibly, there's not one that Linda Mnisi has told us he's certainly seen this morning, seizing individual items like a bag of meal.
Yeah.
I saw a box of cornflakes also in one of the trolleys there as part of the things that are being seized. It doesn't seem right. It
doesn't at all. And whilst there is a strong message to send out about how criminality can't be seen to be beneficial, there is something at least misplaced about the ways through which the response we're seeing taking place this morning is actually being carried out. I can't get over the fact that it's specific communities being targeted, and we know that the optics around that are not just mere coincidence. So we'll certainly try and pack that story for you as the morning progresses.